Hey guys, I have a dear friend who I want to introduce you to today. Her name is Sharon Lechter. Sharon, firstly, thanks so much for spending time with me today. It's just awesome to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to telling our entire community about who you are and what we're doing together. So it'll be really exciting just to give everyone an opportunity to get to know you a little better.
Thank you, Neil. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah. So I met Sharon a while back through a guy called Steve Sims. Many of you know of Steve Sims. I've referred to Steve in the past, quite a character and also an amazing entrepreneur and an amazing support to me. I was at an event, one of Steve's events, and I met both Sharon and a colleague of hers, Mark Victor Hansen, who is a co-writer of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Many of you will know of Mark Victor Hansen. And during that event, Sharon had an opportunity to sit down and talk with us, and I just immediately fell in love with her. She is an extraordinary human being, a beautiful person, and a brilliant mind, and extraordinarily accomplished. So Sharon is the co-author of a book that many of you will have heard of, and a series of books that many of you will have heard of, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And she's had a very illustrious career as an author. How many books have you written altogether, Sharon?
26.
26. I believe you've sold over like 30 million copies.
I think 34 million the last I heard. So, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And so one of the things that I've only just begin to mention to our Simply Music community is the fact that I am writing a book. It'll be the first time where I've ever codified the bigger and broader conversation that I've been speaking about for the last several years, and that really being, the new case for creativity, how critical creative musicianship is for its impact on our creative capability, and how I believe that creativity is, the critical attribute or the critical currency of the future, as I call it. And I've had people, as you know, over the years have been saying, you must write a book, you must write a book. And that's been something that I've deliberated on over an extended period of time. When I was at Steve Sims' event and Sharon got up and was talking about her career as an author and the organization that she's built around her authoring, I was just deeply impressed, not only by what she's accomplished and her capability, but by who she is as a person. And many of you will also recall the post that I made when I had the opportunity to have dinner at Sharon's home, had a chance to sit at her remarkable Steinway piano that was a beautiful grand piano built in 1900. I actually captured the serial number and looked it up. Amazing instrument. And then subsequent to that, she and I have been engaged in a series of conversations, and Sharon has actually agreed to support me in my journey over this next 12 months as both my coach in writing the book, as my mentor in writing the book, as well as providing the guidance and the advice and the support in materializing this and bringing it to the world at large. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you for that. I consider it an absolute honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to glean from this vast body of experience and expertise that you have. So thank you for that, Sharon.
Well, I am so delighted, Neil. And I think everybody watching and listening to this knows the incredible impact that you've had on the world with what you're doing. And I think it's time to elevate you a little bit and let the world know that your vision, your passion, because you've already impacted thousands of people around the world. And I think by providing a tool through a book gives us the ability to share your wisdom and your brilliance to another medium that you haven't had yet. So I'm excited about it.
Well, thank you very much. And my intention as we are on this journey is to include our educator community. I'd like them to be involved in the process because I know so many of them have so much to offer in assembling this dialogue and codifying it and quantifying it and making it available. We've been having conversations for quite some time about the arrival of this technological tsunami, the impact that it's having on humanity, the enormous, extraordinary impact that it will have on the future, and how critically important it is now more so than ever before for us to develop our creative capability. As I say, in my view, it's going to be the critical attribute that will, in particular.
I couldn't agree with anymore. A lot of our creativity is being pulled out of schools, and it's something that that's how we remain entrepreneurial, is being creative and curious. Otherwise, our life turns into one of complacency, and we end up getting into a crisis. The only way to get out of a crisis is to have that creativity again. So to be able to have tools and support in keeping creativity alive in our world, it's so important.
Well, I'm going to have an opportunity on a regular basis to communicate to our community what's happening with regards to the book and the progress and how it's coming together. I know that many of our educators are going to be involved in providing input and feedback, not only their own but also that of their students. There will be plenty of opportunity to do that, but the main reason why I wanted to get you on a call today was to introduce you to everybody so that they can get to find out a little bit more about you, because you are extraordinary. Listen, guys, I mean, just the writing of that amount, that volume of content, and the ability to 34 million as of now, is that right? 34 million copies? That's incredible. I believe you are the only woman who's ever been inducted into the Personal Development Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
As of a few months ago, yes. I haven't checked recently, but yes.
Amazing. The other thing as well is that I know that you were the financial literacy advisor to both President Bush as well as President Obama. Guys, when you go to Sharon's website, sharonlechter.com, just have a look at what it is that she's accomplished. It's remarkable. Her list of accomplishments is vast and completely impressive. But I just wanted to have a chat with you about your journey. You are a trained accountant, and I believe you're a global. I forget the term.
Global chartered management accountant. When they initially released that, they asked me to be one of the kickoff founding members of the Chartered Global Management Accounting certification.
Everyone's familiar with the CPA, a chartered practicing accountant, a public accountant, but the working in this area is a much more broad criteria qualification.
Global, because there's different. In Canada, it's chartered accountants. In the U.S., CPA, certified public accountant. Chartered Global Management Accounting says you have more of a bird's eye global view on the side of the accounting world.
So, Sharon, what's your vision with this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing what you do?
Well, that's a great question, Neil, because a lot of people have been asking me that lately because of my age, and I was like, I don't work because I need to. I work because there's still work to do. One of the biggest issues I see is the number one cause of divorce, the number one cause of stress and illness. Many times is related to money. And we're not teaching our kids how to take control of their financial lives. And since 1992, I've been on a rampage to get financial literacy into schools, but also to provide tools for anybody, no matter whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur or a parent, to provide the tools for you to take control of your financial life. Because when you lay down and put your head on the pillow at night, I just don't want people stressed out about money.
I know that this is something that's you also believe and have developed content that's specific to how parents can assist their children in developing financial literacy. Tell us a little bit about that, Sharon.
Certainly. Well, I have many different products over the years. I have a game called Thrive Time for Teens, which is really a life and money reality game. It teaches kids about the choices they make as it relates to how they spend their money, but sometimes even more importantly, how they spend their time. And the game it's a board game, so you sit around the table, and it has a lot of humor in it. So the kids will pull a thing that says you drop your cell phone in the toilet, it costs you $300. Or another one, my personal favorite, is you go to a party at a friend's house, parents aren't home, cops come, you get a $400 ticket. So things that these kids experience in real life, and it gives them the opportunity to make mistakes with play money. And so it really is, it's a great tool. The kids have a great time, a lot of humor. And it really introduces them and opens their eyes to the worlds of assets, right? Understanding buying, building, creating income producing assets, because school teaches them to still exchange time for money to be an employee. There's nothing wrong with being an employee. It's not what you do for your money, it's what you do with your money that determines your financial future.
As you're developing all of your content, did I understand correctly? I think I heard somebody say once, it may have been your assistant Angela, have you written a book like every 9 months for like the last 15 or 18 years? Is that right?
Yeah, it was about that rate. Yes, there were a couple of years in there where I didn't write a book, but other years I did one every 9 months or so. So yeah, it's an interesting when you get on a roll. And I'm really an entrepreneur more than I am an author. And a book is a tool. And when I find something that needs to be addressed, I usually respond to it in the form of a book because it's an inexpensive way for people to learn and to educate themselves. And just as you talked about with your book, we're talking about getting information from the people that work with you. Telling those stories really helps communicate here with the heart, with your readers. If you're just, basically regurgitating information, it hits them up here, but seldom gets here. And so it's when you can share heartfelt stories is when you actually get people to take action to change their lives.
Well, it's certainly been an incredible journey for you. Do you actually remember when you were first contacted by the White House and invited to be an advisor? It would have been President Bush first, I'd imagine, before
Yes,
Obama, right?
yes.
Do you remember the day?
I do actually. It was, maybe not the exact day. It was a Friday in 2007 in October. And I actually probably could come up with the date if I looked at a calendar, because it was about the third or fourth weekend in October 2007. And it was a Friday night. It's kind of a funny story, Neil, because there's the top florist here in Arizona is called the White House. I had made the decision to leave the Rich Dad Company in March of that year, and it had been a very tough year through all of that. And it was like one of those nights where I was just having a good old-fashioned pity party for myself. And the phone rings, and I go and I see on the caller ID, and it was a Friday evening. That's what was so weird, because it was probably 5 or 6 o'clock my time, and the caller ID said White House. Now, they're 3 hours later, and I'm looking at this going, oh, somebody must be feeling sorry for me. They were sending me flowers, right?
Oh, that's great.
I pick up the phone, and it was actually the other one, the White House, which today I don't think that it would show up on the caller ID. But yeah, it was an incredible.
What did they say? What happened? What did they say?
Well, they said, may I speak to Sharon Lechter? I said, this is she. And they said, this is the White House. Can you hold for the White House General Counsel? Okay. They kind of got panicked. And they basically said, we are here. We are creating a new advisory council for financial literacy, and we have been, your name has come up from several different directions as someone dedicated to financial literacy and someone who has the experience and talent to help us move this forward. Are you interested? And it was really, I share this a lot, Neil, because I tell people sometimes you have to close the door in your life for other doors to open. And had I not made the decision to leave the Rich Dad organization, I wouldn't have that call. A few months later, the call from the Napoleon Hill Foundation to help reinvigorate the teachings of Napoleon Hill. And it's just, I just want to share that with people, because sometimes you don't know what's in front of you, but you have to close the door.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, one of the biggest selling non-fiction personal development books ever written.
Yes, of all times, well over 100 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you're in.
We know what was happening in the economy in 2008, and many young people, and my definition of young is getting a little older, but did not know who Napoleon Hill was or had ever heard of Think and Grow Rich. But they knew things like mastermind, which is what he keyed. Pay yourself first came from Napoleon Hill. Nothing to fear but fear itself was Napoleon Hill. The law of attraction he wrote about in 1919, long before the movie and the book The Secret. And so people would know his work, but maybe not his name. And when the economy was crashing, the foundation wanted to came to me and asked me to help reinvigorate his teachings.
That would have been quite an experience.
Oh my gosh. To have built the world's largest personal finance brand in Rich Dad, and having made the decision to leave, I thought Rich Dad was my legacy. And somebody upstairs said, no, there's more for you to do. Because then to step into the role as a presidential advisor and then to be asked by the world's largest personal development brand to step in was surreal. And so it was just an incredible opportunity and neither of those calls would I have had I still been at Rich Dad. So it's just a gift.
Amazing. So you are speaking all the time. I think you've done over 1,000 keynote speeches for organizations. That's just intense.
I'd probably double that now with all the Zoom calls we've done in the last year and a half.
Right.
I used to have to get on a plane. Last weekend, I was talking in South Africa in the morning, and California in the afternoon, and London and Hawaii in the evening. So it was like a lot of territory.
Your biggest challenge, your biggest setback, what's that been?
Well, I used to be able to talk about all my business setbacks, but when I ask that question now, there's only one answer to that. I lost my youngest son 8.5 years ago, and there's nothing compares to the loss of a child. We're not supposed to outlive our children, and so it put me into what I call a world of numb for several years, living in neutral, not sure what to do with myself. I was working, but I didn't have the passion and the zest, and about 5 years ago, I actually was thinking about completely retiring because I wasn't getting that same oomph. And I think I had my son in my ear saying, get over it, Mom, there's more for you to do. And I launched something called the Play Big Movement. It's a Facebook group, and I have my Play Big Movement podcast that I do. But I wanted to play a bigger game again. I built the talking book industry for children before Rich Dad, built Rich Dad, always with big partners, big players, Disney, Warner Brothers, Warner Books, Time Life. And then all of a sudden I went into this numbness for several years in 2013 and beyond. And I decided that I was going to play big again, but I wasn't going to do it alone. I wanted to share what I was doing with everybody. And that's why I launched the Facebook page, the Play Big Movement. And it really stands for being number one in your field, living your legacy, because your legacy is created every single day with every heart you touch, and creating maximum impact. If you're going to do something, do it well. I mean, everybody watching and listening, particularly in the last year and a half, one of us has had something that stopped us in our tracks. Mine was the loss of my son.
How old was he?
He was 30. Could be a death, a divorce, an illness, a financial setback, but you're still here. You're still here for a reason. Whatever you've been through, imagine how much you can help someone else going through it behind you. And that's my message today is everybody you're perfect just the way you are. You've had successes, we've had failures, but you have an opportunity to share your success, your expertise with others.
And you've extended your contribution to your work with children and the foundation. Tell us a little about that.
Well, I have, I work with children in many different ways. I'm a chancellor for the Global Junior Achievement Effort, where we're providing materials for children all over the world. I'm the chairman of the K through 12 initiative, financial literacy initiative for the state of Arizona. I still serve a national commission with the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And then I have my own foundation, the Economic Empowerment Foundation, where we fund efforts in schools and local areas, Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, to help bring financial education to children. And most importantly, is just to get the awareness out there to help people and understand that I do a lot of government work trying to get people to pay attention to it. We can't wait for the educational system to change as concerned parents, whether we're parents, aunts and uncles, or just neighbors. If we have young people in our lives we care about, we need to stand up and demand that they get the education they need.
And I know you've got an extraordinarily strong support in your husband and beautiful partner, Michael, who I've had the opportunity to spend some time with. And he's been a great guidance and advice to me, even though he and I have only met more recently. You guys have been married for over 40 years, right? September? Was it last September, 40th anniversary?
That's right. You're very good memory. Yes.
Well, I remember too, because my
Yeah.
40th is coming up in December, so we're
Yeah.
not a
September
lot.
14th this year will be 41 years, and still going strong.
Michael's a
His
brilliant mind.
parents actually celebrated 73 years in March. So we have
Yeah, Michael's his career as an intellectual property attorney has also been something that's played a pretty significant role in guiding and managing the infrastructure of your organization. I believe you also partner in one of your coaching programs.
yes,
So
yes.
tell us a touch about that.
Yeah, well, Mike, people always say, what's the secret for your long marriage? And I go, well, you have to respect the individual, your spouse, even more than you love them, because when there are days you don't love them too much, your respect is still there. So I have he's the smartest man I've ever met, still to this day, I believe that. And we are yin and yang. I am the more risk taker, innovator. He's the more, let's pull back and let's think about this. Let's go through the elements. So we can get a little bit of this in there, but at the same time, together we create a great opportunity for people. And when we mentor people together, you're getting the best of the legal mind, the engineering mind, the accountant mind, the entrepreneur, the innovator. So it's kind of publishing. So it's kind of a one-stop shop.
He was already able to provide some invaluable advice with regards to setting up the legal framework for to house the book, and so tremendously grateful for that. But he's just an awesome guy. He's just a really great, unpretentious, authentic, beautiful man. I just love Mike. Yeah.
He is. Very understated, but a spine of steel. So.
Sharon, many of our educators everyone operates as self-employed. There are a few teachers that we have that employ other teachers. So the vast majority of our teachers are self-employed, sole proprietors. Your latest book, Exit Rich, this is a powerful body of work, absolutely applicable to preparing large-scale organizations as a means of being able to develop the size and the scope of the asset that they have and how to best prepare it for a successful exit. But many of our teachers are on the early stages of financial literacy. What would you suggest out of your body of work could be relevant to that teacher wherever they're at, wanting to move up to the next level of financial literacy? What is it that you might have?
If you are looking at expanding what you're doing and building a bigger footprint, and adding additional people, additional opportunities to scale your business, Exit Rich will help you tremendously, because it talks about those steps and to create those systems. Many business owners can't sell their business because it's too wrapped up in their own ego. And so this gives you the steps to do to create a business that can live beyond you and outside you with other people running it. So Exit Rich is a great tool for that. If you are looking for something where you just need that encouragement to get through the tough days, my very first book that I did with the foundation, called 3 Feet from Gold, is a great book to help you find that little extra perseverance, encouragement. But if you know that you just have things that hold you back, that are roadblocks to you, the second book I did with the foundation is called Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil?
Outwitting the Devil. It was a manuscript that Napoleon Hill wrote in 1938, intended to be the sequel to Think and Grow Rich. And his wife was so scared by the title, she forbid it to be published. So it was locked away in the vault for 73 years.
Oh my gosh.
And the month I released 3 Feet from Gold, the foundation called me. I said, every phone call can change your life. And said, we've got this manuscript, we don't know what to do with it. So I ran away to the beach where I do most of my writing, and I read this manuscript in just a couple of hours. It just transformed the way I think. And I said, this has to get out. And it talks about how so many of us, and Napoleon, he took on every taboo, Neil: sex, politics, religion, education, liquor, and cigarettes. Even before the world knew cigarettes were bad for you, he was talking about how the devil hooks our young people with cigarettes, and then, they give up the control of their own mind. And in the book, he talks about um, how 98% of people in the world are drifters, right? They go with the flow, they don't make decisions. And the other 2% are the people that have power over their own mind. They make those, they're more proactive, not reactive. And he talks about how to take control of your life and the steps and, definiteness of purpose, knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your why is, the first one, and very important. All right. Mastery over self-discipline, something that a lot of people don't think about these days. Self-discipline, control over your mind, your body, your actions, learning from adversity, knowing that bad things happen, but are you going to learn from it so you don't repeat it? And then how do you, mastery over your environment? Are you putting yourself in an environment that will be nurturing you and supporting you to be successful, or in an environment that pulls you down? And then how are you spending your time? You can either spend your time and it's gone, or you can invest your time in buying, building, creating assets. And Neil, the only precious resource we have in life is time. We can make money, lose it, and make it back. But when time's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
So Outwitting
That's
the Devil is a
great.
great tool for anybody that
Yeah.
deals with fear. Fear holds us back. I have, if you go to personalsuccessequation.com, I have a download there for people that we release the personal success equation in my book, 3 Feet from Gold. It talks about combining your passion and your talent. And that's what school teaches us to do. And most people stop there thinking they have to do it by themselves. But true success comes from times A, power of association. One of my favorite new associations is yours, Neil. I'm so thrilled to know you and to be able to support you. And then
Thank you.
times A, take action. How many times do we know what we're supposed to do, but we just don't do it? So your passion and your talent plus association times action plus F for faith. Having faith in yourself, having faith in what you're doing, faith that is needed and necessary, faith that will succeed. And too many of us, that F is fear, not faith. And that fear shackles us, holds us back. And so I want to help people get rid of the faith, get rid of the fear, have the faith, build their self-confidence. When I start working with people, it's normally the power of association and the self-confidence that need the most work. And they go hand in hand. When you have the right people around you, your self-confidence is bolstered.
That's great. So what's the future look like for you? Your future? What's next or down the pipeline?
Well, right now I have a couple of pretty big projects in the works that we're still waiting on memorandums of understanding. It could actually change a lot with the way that I do. I've had a couple of very large organizations come to me wanting me to be a senior advisor or help them write books. And we'll see how this goes, because I have Michael Lechter on my team, so we're pretty careful about what I agree to from an intellectual property perspective. So it's gonna be, stay tuned. I'll keep you posted. Yeah, at this point, I'm 67, and so these two new opportunities are a way for me to shift out of my own company, my own business, to being able to really advise and support on a much bigger level. So it should be fun.
Sharon, thank you so much for making yourself available today. I really appreciate it. And honestly, it's been a pleasure having the opportunity to meet you and spend some time with you and get to know you. And already in such a short time, you've been able to contribute so much. And I'm tremendously excited about moving forward and materializing this book and bringing it out to the world. And separate from that, it's just an absolute delight to have had the opportunity to just connect and associate with you and have you in my life. So thank you for that.
Well, Neil, I'm just delighted to be working with you and to have the opportunity to meet your community and know that how precious creativity is in our lives. And I'm just excited to see what comes from the incredible mind of yours, and let's see what we can do to impact even more people.
Well, guys, check out Sharon's website, sharonlechter.com. I'll make sure that there's a link as part of this email. I'll also include links to the books that Sharon mentioned, and I'll keep you completely up to date and abreast with how this is progressing as we move forward. Delightful to have you here today, Sharon. Much love to you, darling, and I know we're speaking next week, so I'll speak to you then.
I look forward to it, Neil, and thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, always.
Thank you, love.